The people from the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development, ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, that is better. I'm Agnes Alaba, as has already been introduced, Commissioner for Mines, representing the PS. We bring apologies from the PS. She would have loved to be here in this meeting personally, arising from the issues that were raised in the launch of Wagagai, but nonetheless, we have a whole array of the technical team here that will be engaging with the district, the community, the miners, as we have already heard from the introduction from the past, from the communication specialists of the ministry. There were several issues raised. There has been concerns, and which needs dialogue. From the ministry side, we also have issues with the district, with the miners, so we need to dialogue together and find solutions to the issues that affect the mining sector and come up with a way forward of how those issues should be addressed. So I'm going to have a presentation on the overview of the mineral sector, focusing on the legal regulatory framework governing the sector. I know maybe most of you could have an idea of this, but we are going to go through this framework and what is required from all of us to ensure that the mineral sector supports the development of the country. As a matter of introduction, we are all aware that mineral is now one of the key priority pillars for the National Development Plan 4. It's among the ATMs where you're having agriculture, tourism, and minerals, including oil and gas, with science and technology. The others, like electricity, they are enablers to ensure the development of the mineral sector. So the National Development Plan 4, the goal is to ensure sustainable exploitation, value addition, and commercialization of the extractive industry. We are running two programs in the ministry. There's the one for extractives that covers oil and gas and minerals. Then we have the energy. So under the National Development Plan 4, under the extractive, the major goal is to ensure sustainable exploitation, value addition, and commercialization. This is the basis. Sustainable exploitation, value addition, and commercialization of the extractives, which includes mineral. And it is all our role to ensure that this happens, and value addition, to ensure that there is sustainable exploitation of minerals. The objectives, what the ministry is expected to do is to increase exploration and quantification of minerals, and this also applies to the miners, those with licenses, increase production and commercialization of the extractive, increase investment in the extractive value chain, enhance human and local expertise capacity to participate and develop the extractive industry, and strengthen governance, coordination, innovation of the extractive. Those are 5 pillars under the National Development Plan 4, under the extractive. We are going to focus on exploration and quantification of minerals. We are going to focus on production and commercialization. Of course, we are going to focus on value addition before the production and commercialization, that our minerals have added value in terms of the processing, in terms of the value that it leaves to the community. Because when we talk of value addition, it's not just processing the metal. what have the people benefiting from this? Enhancing local and human capacity to participate in the sector and strengthen governance, coordination, and innovation. And that's why we are here to discuss this, since we are just starting the implementation of the NDP 5, and this is what will be judged on after the 5 years. And as we are aware, Uganda has a variety of minerals. If I'm coming from the broader perspective, the national perspective, then I will get into the busia situation. We have over 27 minerals. I will not name all of them, but I will just give a few. Of course, we have what is called metallic minerals, which contains gold, iron ore, lithium, manganese, platinum groups of metals, beryllium, and the like. We have gemstones, a lot in Karamoja, and we also have in southwestern Uganda, and we also have geothermal resources, which is to supplement the energy mix. When you are going to have the presentation on energy tomorrow, you will hear about the potential of geothermal resources in the country. That is giving a generic overview. But Busia, we know that Busia is one of the key source of gold. This is where gold mining started by artisanals in the 1915s. It's one of the oldest gold deposits in the country, and then other explorers came on board. As you heard when we launched the Wagagai gold mine, there were already mining taking place in a number of areas. The artisanals have been working and discovering these minerals. And over time, other investors came on board, and they are taken up just some of those areas, like the Wagagai, where we launched, where massive exploration has taken place. So the development of these minerals, there are legal and regulatory framework that governs how these resources should be utilized, how these resources should be shared. So I'm going to go through the legal framework, what we have in place governing the sector. Of course, we have the mining and mineral policy of 2018 that gives us a guideline of the development of this mineral. And one of the key pillars is value addition. This value addition is one of the key pillars of our mining and mineral policy. And from the policy, we have the Act of 2022, the Mining and the Minerals Act, that repealed the Act of 2003, having implemented it for almost 20 years. We came up with a new act because a number of things has come on board. People are now talking too much about the ESG. At that time, that is the environmental social governance. At that time, when we had the mining and the Mining Act of 2003, even we used to grant mining licenses without any environmental impact assessment because it was not a concern yet. But now we have a number of concerns which has come up, the issues of value addition, the issue of mineral certification. So the Mining and Minerals Act was put in place to address some of the key merging issues. We also have the issues of building substances. These are clay, sand, marram, that was excluded from the definition of minerals in the Constitution. So the Act addresses if the policy addresses the building substance, and we are having a bill which is going to address the issues of exploitation of clay, sand, marram, and such materials that was not addressed in the Mining Act 2022. The current Mining Act addresses all issues of all the other minerals except for the building substance, which we are going to have a different legal framework. There is a bill, there has been some consultations which has been undertaken to inform that bill. We have the Mining and the Minerals Licensing Regulation of 2023 that operationalizes the Act, and that is what we are implementing. We have the International Conference of Great Lakes Region, the one on certification to curb illegal trade in the 3 T's, what we call tin, tungsten, and tantalite, and gold, to ensure traceability, to ensure that we know the source of our mineral and up to the market, up to the exit point. So these are the legal framework. Of course, in addition to other relevant law, legal framework that governs the sector. So I'm going to just give a quick brief on what each of those addresses, the policy and the regulatory framework, the key aspects, as I indicated that in the beginning, we put in this law, the 2022, to address some of the issues which were not captured in the 2003. The Mining Act 2003 had some gaps, and we needed to upgrade it. It had served this purpose for almost 20 years. So some of the key emerging aspect that is being addressed by this law is competitive bidding for brownfields, like it is done in oil and gas. Rather than subject everything to first come, first serve, the first come, first serve principle will remain for green areas where we do not have enough data. So government is undertaking exploration to ensure that we provide basic minimum data, and in those brownfields where there's some information, like Kilembe Mines, where recently we signed a production sharing agreement with one company called Sarai, and the National Mining Company signed a production sharing agreement to develop the resources therein. This will enable government to not only tie itself to royalties, but there's a 15% of the free carry interest that government will get in all the strategic medium scale and the large scale mining license. The Act also introduces artisanal mining license. It separates between artisanal and small scale. Over time, we noted that a number of miners are really upgraded. Most of them were not artisanal, but there were also those who are still artisanal and need to be catered for in this law. So there is one license for artisanal and the other one for small scale. We will have that in the next presentation. The Act introduces mineral processing licenses to ensure value addition. Before, people would just get their license, mine, and export raw ore, and deprive the country, of course, of the much needed value in country in terms of the citizen of Uganda, because most of the minerals processed, and you know, these minerals, they do not occur in isolation. Some of these deposits occur in groups, like you have gold, copper, nickel, And when you take the ore, you are exporting all these without value added to it. So to ensure that there's value addition, we require that all minerals are processed in country, and there's a processing license to that effect, smelting and refining license. For gold, we have up to 99.9% gold. There is a regulation which is allowing value addition to gold to the level of 99.9%. So no gold should be exported outside the country without attaining that value. There are also introduction of prohibitive penalties and fines for those who are caught on the wrong side of the law, undertaking, for example, mining without a license, what we would call illegal mining, and failing to give some statutory reports when it's required. All those attract penalties. There's a whole section on a number of penalties that is subjected to some of those operations, which is outside the law. There is also a creation of the National Mining Company. We created the National Mining Company. The board was inaugurated last year in November, and this company is supposed to perform businesses for the country and manage the state commercial interests, especially in strategic mineral. The board is already operational. There is a CEO and a management team in place, and they are already negotiating with some of these companies on their interests, that the country should take in some of these projects to ensure value for the country. We have implemented an online licensing system. If we were in the hall, we will go through this. But nonetheless, we will leave the link behind where you can now access our system from anywhere within and outside the country on your mobile gadget. You can really have access to that system. So it's purely online, and it's got through DGSM portal.minerals.go.ug. If somebody types on your phone https //minerals.ug.go.ug, you'll see the portal where you can launch an application online. You can see areas which have been licensed. So one of the strategy was to put up online mineral licensing system, and we had a specific regulation in 2019 because we wanted to transition to online and avoid all this paper-based processing, which takes a lot of time. And then introduction of mineral traceability and certification system, the ICGLR, International Conference on Great Lakes Region, the regulation which is in place, and we are implementing this system. We started with tin, where we already have the refinery, and gold is the next, because we've already launched the gold, a system to trace the origin of our gold from production to the exit point. It also provides for mineral agreements. When we're talking about the Mining Act, this is the mineral production sharing. As opposed to only having royalties, the Act provides for production sharing agreement, where government, through the National Mining Company, will negotiate on the sharing mechanism. There are, of course, provisions for protection of environment in accordance with the National Environmental Management Act, surface rights and coexistent. In the 2002, we had issues with a lot of provisions on surface rights, especially with the artisanals. I know when we are going to have the other presentation, we'll address this into detail, but because we had really intention to have the artisanal operating locally within that area, and most of the times it was within their land, but then we noted that the nature of artisanal in Uganda and worldwide is more dynamic. We are going to have that further discussion in the next presentation. There are financial provisions, including state equity participation, royalties, which has really been a subject of a number of concerns, not only in Busia here, but all over. People want to know what share of royalty they have from specific minerals, which come from their side, taxes and other fees. The Act is also very strong on national content and community engagement. We are working on the community engagement regulations, and will soon be coming for further consultation on this. But the Act also requires that companies sign a community development agreement, medium scale and large scale. After the grant of the license, we expect the company to engage the community and sign a community development agreement. It use. So there are a number of those provisions where the Act addresses into details, and I was just giving you a few tips on it. It also provides for the role of local government, and we are here to have that discussion. Local government have a significant role to play in the mineral sector. In fact, before we grant any license, before we get into the district, we first get through an introduction to the cow of each district, the chief administrative officer. Previously, when we were using the paper form of licensing, we would send up the licensee, the applicant, to the district with the form to sign. And we noted that most of the cows would just sign without even knowing what they are signing. But now with the online system, there is a provision even where the cow gets into the system, or the natural resources officer, you can get and see the licenses within your district. What are the applications and what are they looking for? So some of the roles of the local government includes to integrate mineral information into the development plans. We normally expect that any information which is available from minerals should be integrated within the development plan, because we need to do an integrated planning. You may be planning for a key infrastructure, maybe for water, and you see there is minerals. How do the two relate? We need to, the local government is also expected to monitor and regulate exploitation of minerals in collaboration with the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development, because you are the ones nearer to the resource. And if we don't do that, we lose revenue from this resource. So we are supposed to work together and monitor and regulate the exploitation of minerals. And this role of local government is provided for under Section 27, cited, because that condition should be of a temporary nature. It shouldn't be a permanent. And the maximum area covered by an exploration license is 250. The original exploration license is granted for 4 years and then can be renewed once for 3 years. So when you had all these years, if you are to go under retention, you can see that somebody would have had the area for over 12 years. Exploration, of course, takes time for you to identify the resources in. You have first the 4 years, then the 3 years under renewal, and it is not a must that everybody has to go through retention. But in the 7 years, we expect that you should have identified the resource and you are ready to move forward. There were issues which were raised on a lot of taxes on gold, royalty, this and that. And one of the reasons they were giving why we are not seeing gold is because of the taxes. Why they are smuggling, they were saying taxes, royalty, and all these charges to gold. You know, government always have its plan, the 5-year plan. Yes, we implemented the royalty regime. Was their impact? And knowing gold, I know, Honorable, you know gold very well, that even you can be there, you will be with gold in your pocket, you can move with it, and nobody is seeing it. So one, it's an incentive for people to put in more investment, and to the artisanals. The main stock was to the artisanals who were saying, this row, you know, I'm not even getting a lot, but I only get this portion. But after implementing it for this time, that is something which I think can be discussed when the law is being reviewed, because we amend if we are going to review it. But there were a number of things that we see. First of all, it's meant to promote formalization. I note after that royalty waiver, most of the artisanals in Kasanda, in Busia, you will see them at least declaring something. But it's a strategy that is meant to promote investment. And once now the investment has been promoted, so far now, from the time before the royalty, we didn't have any refinery in country. But we have seen now over 10 refineries which are licensed, and we are going to have even a government-owned refinery by Uganda National Mining Company. But this is a talk that can be advanced later. You know the process that it takes into coming up with the law. There are consultations which need to be undertaken, and from this consultation, we will then review any other suggestion. All these documents you've given us, we are going to go with it. The provisions for the amendments is going to be reviewed, because from now I cannot go back and say, now today we have amended this rate, tomorrow we amend. It has to go through. You have provided very good input. You have given us a number of key areas that we should look at. When you put up a new law in place, you definitely need to implement. As you're implementing, you hear the voices of the people. And that's what we are doing now. 2022, we are here to hear the voices. What has worked, what has not worked, and how can we make it work better? So we will get back, make some consultations again, if we need to review some of these provisions in the law. There are a number of them which you highlighted, and we are going to get back and see those ones which can be reviewed, and then we can get back to you. So that modes of compensation when a mining project is brought on board. You can go for outright compensation. You can allow for 100% you sell off, but we don't always advise communities, landowners, to sell off their land. You are better off entering into an agreement where you stipulate what you will be getting even as the project is progressing. I'm giving you this land for 50 years, and or for the 21 years of the license. And once that license expires, you get back on the drawing board, negotiate the term, and continue. Most times,